Most of my life, I've totally struggled with being enough. And I grew up in the church, and just, my family was very strict Christians, and, we couldn't dance, we couldn't do all of these different things that the world did. And so, like one thing that's just really that kind of strange that people don't know is I didn't watch a movie until I was 18 years old. And sometimes to this day I don't necessarily like to watch those things, but it all comes back to my upbringing, and I'm very thankful for it because I learned a lot of things through it. But it was very oppressive at times, and to what you can and cannot do. And so, I started to rebel, and I started to look to other places. And then when I was 11, a man came by, and he started to show me attention, and he began to woo me to himself, and eventually molested me, and that lasted about 3.5 years. And during that time, my parents knew what was going on, but they did nothing to stop it. And this guy happened to be a veteran of the police force, and so my parents were afraid, and I was afraid to get out of the situation. But finally, I just couldn't endure the pain anymore, and so I went to the authorities, and it hit the front news, the front papers of the news, and like everybody instantly knew that was around me, not because they released my name, but because my parents were on the front page, and all of those things. And it was very, very difficult time, and so we went to sentencing, and we came home, and my parents basically said, "You're never going to talk about this again in this house." And here I was, full of all of this pain and heartache, and I didn't know what to do with it. And so I began to act out, cutting on myself. I would run away. I would just not be able to. I couldn't handle the pain inside, and I didn't know what else to do. And so finally, when I was 17, I took a whole bunch of pills, and I decided that that was going to be the end of my life. And God just really, throughout my life, has just saved me and saved me and saved me from different things. But this is one of the things that He did, and I ended up going into the hospital and spent 4 months in the hospital, at which time I separated from my parents, and kind of went on my own and had to learn how to live and survive and do all of the things that you would do, and I had like no idea how to do them all. And so I got a job, and then I fell in love with this young man, David, and we got engaged to get married, and I was very hopeful again, and I started going back to church, and I started back with my relationship with God, and so we got engaged to get married, and then 2 weeks later he committed suicide. And it was probably just one of the most devastating things in my life. Was I finally had found something to live for again, and boom, he was gone. And so because of that, I chose to make a commitment that I would no longer trust any man in my life, and I would never have one. And so that just kind of naturally led me into an open door to be in relationship with women. And so I chose to go that route for several years, until God just got a hold of me and just really kind of ripped me out. But it was really about somebody just loving me, and somebody just being there for me. It wasn't about any do's or don'ts. It was about being enough, just as I was, and who I am. And still today I struggle with, am I enough for people? Am I enough for myself? And I think that, it's really hard. But God, if I look back through all of the things that God has helped me and brought me through, and all the painful things that He's restored within me, I have to know that I'm enough. Even if I struggle with it, I have to remember I'm enough. I'm enough for Him. My name is Melissa, and that's my story.